Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Koki Creative. My name is Elena, and today we are doing a speed build. So today's build is a tiny home, but it doesn't look like a tiny home. My goal was to make it as large and as spacious as I could, but still keeping it under 100 tiles so I could get those sweet, sweet tiny home benefits. This build was a request too. On TikTok, they asked me to make like a bachelor pad tiny home. So this is my take on it. I'm building on the 20 by 15 lot in Copperdale that's right in town. And what's nice about this lot is you don't really need to do landscaping. Even though I like landscaping, it's nice to take a little break every so often. So I just used this wood to make it look like it matched the boardwalk. This house is also called Industrial Loft Tiny Home in the Gallery, and it only costs 59,000 simoleons. So yeah, sort of on the expensive end for one sim, but still not over that 100,000 simoleon mark. It has one bedroom and one bathroom. Here's a list of the packs that I use in case you were curious, and I also put links in the description box of the building mods that I used in this build. Even though I use building mods like ToolMod, you don't have to have ToolMod to download this build, or any build using Tool for that matter. It will place properly. Just make sure you're on that lot and have bb.moveobjects on before placing. A lot of creators will upload really cool things they create with ToolMod too for those non-CC players to download, which is really nice, especially for console players. Keeping this build under 100 tiles was a challenge, so let me tell you what I did. I wanted there to be a flat roof, but that kept adding to my tile count, so I deleted the roof completely and then added a hipped roof on top and then shrunk that down as far as I could to make it flat. Then I added this black on top and a couple of solar panels so that way it could be eco-friendly. Also for the balcony, I wanted to avoid having that area add to my tile count, so I didn't use fences to close it off. I downsized some debug base game fences and then added some wall decor from Snowy Escape over top of it, and then finished it off with a little bit of ivy. Honestly, the balcony wasn't exactly what I wanted. I didn't want it to be so green. I really wanted this build to be a little bit more minimalistic when it comes to landscaping and greenery, but you know, I just couldn't help myself. I think if I were to do this again, I would do the balcony a little bit differently, but like, again, I don't hate it. And this build only took me somewhere between 2 to 4 hours. I love quick and easy builds. I always get really in the zone and then time just sort of flies by while I'm building. I barely had to edit this video either. Almost always at some point I walk away from the computer and I'll have to edit that part out, but not this time. I started and finished this build in one sitting, and that pretty much never happens. Also, I built this back in April, so it was a couple months ago. If you're looking for it in the gallery, you might have to like scroll a little bit, and hopefully I'll be able to start editing a lot of these older videos that I have. I just have so much raw footage. I've been uploading a lot to TikTok and Instagram of some quick speed builds, but I would really like to start posting on YouTube, but I say that every single video, so we'll see if I ever actually get into a good schedule. So let's talk a little bit about this interior. If you can't tell, I am doing industrial modern. It just made sense, especially for this style. And the kitchen, I changed around the swatches quite a bit, so if you might notice, I edited out just a little bit, but I love these counters. These are base game counters. They're one of my favorites, especially after they added all those swatches like last year, maybe 2 years ago, and I use the Growing Together refrigerator and stove. Now, kitchens for me are a very important part in the build in the house. I always try to make my kitchens look a little bit different from each other. Yeah, some of them do end up looking kind of similar just because I have a style that I tend to stick to, but I'm always trying to do something a little bit different in each of my kitchens. I do love the way this one turns out, and we're gonna have to wait a while to see that because this is a work in progress right here. I end up having to come back to the kitchen later in this build and finish it off. Now, what I'm doing right now is kind of cute, right? I do like the way this turns out, and I feel like it really does mesh well with the colors and everything, but I end up taking this out, and I was even gonna edit that part out of the video so you didn't even see those little cubes. But I mean, if someone's watching this and they might get an idea, they want to add that for their own build, great. But yeah, I end up taking that part out and doing something completely different in the kitchen. Now, this house is small, right? But it has a pretty sizable bathroom. I ended up making the bathroom a little bit smaller later, but overall for the size of this house, the bathroom is big. It's supposed to be luxurious. This house is only for one sim, and I feel like it makes sense for them to have like a really nice, luxurious bathroom. Like, this is not a family house. This is someone's second, maybe first house, but they have a good job. I end up making a sim for this house as well, and I can't remember their name, but it's like Brett or something. Okay, I just looked it up. up. And yeah, it is Brett. And so he is actually a programmer, and I gave him a degree from Foxbury, I believe, and that gave him a really nice high-paying job. So I say that because, again, I like to play without cheats when I'm actually playing. So whenever I'm creating a sim and a house, I like it to make sense for them. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I just like to throw someone into a mansion. I think that's great, but I just try to make it make sense for the story. So here I'm working on this custom TV stand, and when I'm doing stuff like this, I'm just freestyling. Like, I don't really have a picture in mind of what I want it to look like. Sometimes I'm just taking some pieces together. I'm like, all right, let's take this shelf. That shelf I used right there, the brown one, is from Base Game, and the other white pieces, those are from Dream Home Decorator. I just take objects like that and I kind of smush them together until it eventually turns into something cool. I would say about 75% of the time it looks really bad at first, and I just have to either trust the process or restart, because when you're just trying to go out there and create your own items in The Sims, sometimes it just looks really bad and it looks like you just put a whole bunch of items together. But anyway, here again, like I said earlier, I made the bathroom smaller. This is now getting to the official shape of the house, and we're getting also to the kitchen that I know and love today. I added a little bit of touches of green in this kitchen, which look really nice. I love green in houses, and it reminds me of nature. Who doesn't love it? But throughout this house, I do try to use red as a lot of the accents, but in the kitchen, a little different. Just thought green looked really nice, especially because the bar, that's a Base Game bar again, was a very similar swatch to the fridge and the stove. It comes in this like really nice green color, and if I can, I will use the funky color appliances. I just think it looks so cool, and everyone, including myself, very beige. It's very, very easy to go to your safe beige spot, build with whites and blacks and beiges. It's just, I try not to go too hard into that comfort zone, almost because when you build with beiges, blacks, and whites, I just feel like it's almost guaranteed to look good. I don't know how to explain it. That's not always the case, but sometimes I like to use different like accent colors to push myself, and a lot of color combinations that I'm like, does this even work? I don't know. I wouldn't call this build particularly very colorful, but I definitely don't shy away from color in this build. Now, these shelves are my favorite part of the kitchen. I've done this before, but I think this ended up turning out pretty nice. I used some debug items, and those little jars, the little jar that I have right there, those are actually supposed to be jarred aliens, but in this case, they're supposed to be like something being pickled. And when I'm scrolling through the catalog when I'm in a kitchen, I just like to pull out all the items I want to see in the kitchen. I use pretty much the same items in every single one. I like the paper towel holder, the spatula holding thing, some spices. I tend to have my favorite little items, so I like to just pull them out as I'm scrolling through the catalog, so that way when I'm in a moment like this, I don't have to scroll as much. It does save some time, but I don't like to put it in the spot right away, especially when it's like little clutter items and they're on shelves. It just gets a little complicated. Let me tell you about something that I found out by accident, and I cannot believe I didn't realize this earlier. So if you're someone like me who likes to build usually with the grid off, and if you don't know how to toggle the grid on and off, it's just with G. So hit G on your keyboard and you can toggle it on and off very easily. Whenever I'm building lofts, I would put a light fixture in the nice big open area, and it would be on the first story, and you'd have to use like the 9 key or tool mod to lift it. And I was like, man, this is so annoying. And then one day I was just building with the grid on, and I realized it was snapping to the second story because the grid was there as like the floor, even though it was open. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's all I had to do this whole time. And even though I build almost every day, I'm still learning new things. Real quick, here are some of my favorites. To place stairs from the story above, hold down Alt. And if you hold down Shift while placing, it'll continue to place that item. This helps me with landscaping so much. The plus and minus keys on the number pad will change an item swatch before you place it. So that way you can kind of flip through each swatch to see which one fits best for the room. Oh, love this. And then just using hotkeys in general. I've been recently starting to use hotkeys all the time, and it actually saves me time. E for eye drop, H for hand, R for changing swatches. It stands for recolor if you need help remembering. And then there's K for sledgehammer, and I'm not really sure where the K comes from, but I'm sure there's a reason. I always think of it as K for knocking things down, and then L to change the lighting. And now we're back in the living room, and I was fully intending to come back and finish the entertainment space once I felt a little bit more inspired, I guess you could say. But I do like the way this looks, and it really matches the kitchen, so I thought that was kind of nice. And now here I'm using my gallery art, and this is where I got the idea where Brett also is a little bit of a photographer. So he took these photos. That's just what I'm pretending. These are all pictures, screenshots that I took, and these are in the gallery as well. I need to upload the colored versions because right now I just have the black and white, but I really like the black and white ones. These screenshots are Brindleton Bay in the fall. So yeah, I added a couple like clutter items that I just thought would make sense for this kind of build. And these cube things, I have a love-hate relationship with Dream Home Decorator because the cubes, I'm sure a lot of other people can relate to this, but if you put a lot of items in the cubes and then you go back to that lot, they might disappear or end up in the Sims inventory or something, and it's so annoying. Glitches and bugs don't usually really bother me. I mean, unless if they're really bad, but this one is one that really annoys me because I will spend time putting all these things on the shelf, and then I'll go back to the lot and they are all gone. They've all disappeared. So let me know, what's your least favorite bug in The Sims 4? Let me know in the comments below. Well, here I'm finishing up the living room, and I did add a little workout space and a great place to do some lifting and stuff like that. I threw a little posters on the wall. And before I uploaded this to gallery, I did add a few more decorative pieces. So if you download this, you might notice that there are a few things missing from the video. I mean, if you have that good of a attention span, good for you. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's very different. Probably wouldn't know if I didn't tell you, but yeah, I decorated a little bit more. The backyard is an entertainment space. I wanted to feel nice and spacious back there, especially it's only a 20 by 15 lot, so I didn't have a lot of space to work with, but I didn't want it to be a huge lot anyway. So the inside of the house is just really small, and if your sim wants to throw parties, the backyard is just a great choice for that, especially for tiny homes. And you know Brett loves to throw a party. Now we're here inside finishing up the bathroom, the last room in the house, and sometimes, depending on my mood, I'll either do the bathrooms first or I'll do them last. And in this case, I decided to do them last, and I stuck with black and white. And I know I went on this whole spiel earlier, but I just love me a black and white bathroom, and I thought it really fit this house, so I went with that. And I make this big shower. I had a few of those base game shelves that I used throughout the build, so it matched, and then one of the showers from Snowy Escape. And it took me a while to clutter up these shelves. I ended up having to edit out a lot of it because I tried a few different things, and I ended up liking something a little bit more minimalistic. I tried to like really clutter up these shelves at first, and it just didn't really make sense. So yeah, I changed it around a bit, and this is me just this is the parts that I left in. So cluttering always takes me the longest. I can't be alone in that. Whenever I place down big items that take up a lot of space, it's like I feel like I accomplish so much. But then when I'm doing shelves or something, I'm like, it stresses me out slightly. I'm like, God, I have so much left to go, all this empty space. But then there's also this beauty in empty space and trying to become comfortable with balance, because sometimes, especially as someone like, I wouldn't say I have a lot of room. I can still grow as a builder, and I'm trying to step away from the jam packet with clutter. It's gonna look good, which I mean isn't wrong. I mean, I love cute little cluttered up cottage, but I have a difficult time with the less is more. And now we're up in the loft area where we have a bedroom and a gaming area. This is probably also where he works from home a little bit, but I wanted to give a nice little gaming area. And I added a TV that's supposed to look like a second monitor, but your sim can sit in bed and watch TV also, so that serves a purpose. It's not completely unfunctional. And now we're finishing up the build with the backyard. And like I said earlier, this is a great little spot for parties. So I added a grill. I add a grill to just about every single one of my builds, so I can't say this is anything special, but I did try to make this grilling area really nice. After fiddling around with the placement for a while, it eventually all came together, and I was able to add a big feature piece. And I've been so excited to use this wall piece from Eco Lifestyle, since I almost can never find a time or a place for it. So it worked right here. And for the chairs, I wanted there to be asymmetrical, if you will. I just thought that would look more realistic, and I added some hanging lights because who doesn't love hanging lights? And they fit so perfectly in between those two poles. So once I finish up this, I add a little seating area, and this is right outside of the sliding glass doors, and there's a bar right on the other side of the door. So I imagine they make their drinks and then head outside, hang out for a little while, and just have a good time. Thank you for watching. If you like Sims 4 speed builds and other random Sims content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. This build is called Industrial Tiny Home in the Gallery. And to check out my other play tested builds, my gallery ID is Koki Creative.